Hello, everybody. My name is Luke Benoit, and again, I'll be presenting on the Q learning agents that I use to run through a Gin Rummy environment. Gin Rummy is one of my favorite games. It's actually the only game I have on my phone. So if I'm on an airplane or I'm trying to kill time, I typically play Gin Rummy. It's a very fun card game that I'm very fond of. So I was excited to work on this. And so just the overall gymnasium that I created, it's the Gin Rummy environment. And so we have 24 observations and then we have 6 actions that we take. So our observations, we look at the mel count is the number of pairs that we have together, typically 4 pairs total because we have 12 cards. The Deadwood bucket tells us how many cards we have, that are not matched and then whether our top discard will likely help our results moving forward. So, and we look at the top discard depending on our actions. And so, the first 3 actions are involving drawing from the stock, meaning that the cards that are from the remaining cards that either the player that we're playing against or ourselves we do not have. So we can take from a stock and we either, we discard the worst card, we discard the highest number card, or we discard a random card. So we look at, how one, how it matches, two, what is the highest value, and then just picking one randomly. And then the other components are taking a card that is not from the draw stock and then discarding the worst card from our stock. And then knocking is another one where we have less than one card that has a value less than 10. And we can also stand, just take the card from the discard pile, not the stock, and just stand with what we currently have. For the Gin Rummy rules, so here we implement rewards and penalties. So we have plus 25 for a gin, which means all of our cards in our stock match. In our the number of cards that we have. We have a plus 12 for winning a knock, meaning we get rid of a card and the remaining deadwood we have is less than a value of 10 and minus 10 for losing a knock as well. So if the other opponent wins, and minus 25 if they get a gin. The penalty for the remaining cards that are considered a deadwood is -1 times the number of deadwood elements if it's greater than 2. And of course, we reward if we reduce our deadwood or if we get a new pair of cards in our stock together. And so the goal is to maximize our return and reduce our deadwood. And that's what we have here. For our Q learning models, our goal is to find the Q value. In Q learning, we know that we can find the Q value for a state action pair attained from averaging the total rewards across our episodes. There's a couple of factors that I picked here for my Q learning variants to perform this model. So the first was the learning rate. And that tells us how much new information overrides the old information. And for this case, we pick right in the middle because if we have too high, then we have a lot of randomness. And if we go too low, then we're too slow in terms of finding an optimum result. Our discount factor determines our importance for future rewards, which is obviously very important for Gin Rum because we want to get to our reward. We want to get to a gin. We want to get to a knock, right? The way we scaled our gins was based on, our discount factors was based on whether we want to go for a gin, reduce our deadwood, or if we want to combine both. And that's why we have a high learning rate and a low discount for one, learning rate and a higher discount for another. And then we have a high learning rate and a high learning discount to see what happens. The two models that I used for analyzing were the classification and regression. So I did both. And so for the classification, it's really just seeing, the win-loss percentage. That's what really I was curious about. And so, that's the big advantage of that. And the regression is helping us predict predict our return moving forward. And so I ran actually 3 different simulations, one for 200 episodes, one for 500 episodes, and one for 1,000 episodes. And so we get our results here. And so overall, you can see that the results are quite similar across the board. for all of the different simulations, and actually we get slightly better in accuracy and precision, but not a drastic change. And that makes sense when we take a look as well at some of our other analysis that we use. So it can tell wins from losses fairly well using the features that we implement. We have high recall, but again, moderate precision. We're about 53 to 60%. And the model is good at catching most wins, but sometimes fails to predict where there is a win. Um, and the deadwood and melds are strong signals for success. And so, the models do consistently look at that. But there is some randomness still that could be further optimized to limit the prediction. In our regression analysis, we show that predicting episode returns are quite noisy, and that makes sense when you look at our accuracy and then our standard deviations as well. In using the ANOVA and Turkey analysis, for our ANOVA, we have no significant difference among the mean returns of A, B, and C. And again, A, B, and C is the different discount and learning rates. And that is also confirmed with the Turkey doing Turkey modeling, and we see none of the agents outperform the others at a 95% confidence level. And for the per agent averages, agent B had the highest win rate, slightly as we saw here. We had a slightly higher win rate at 200 episodes, but then as we get to higher episodes, we actually have C that becomes higher. But relatively again, they stay fairly constant. And again, these numbers come from the episode equals 200. So definitely there is a change as we increase the number, C becomes more favorable. The slower epsilon decay is helping as well at the lower episodes. But because the variance is high, there's not really a statistically significant difference between either model. And so, in conclusion, we know that our environment is learnable, so that was a great thing. With the work that we did, the differences are small, so that tells us even across this, we do 200 to 1,000 different simulations. It's still quite consistent and the same as our ANOVA and Turkey model showed. But it looks like Agent B could be a promising approach when you look at a certain number, but more episodes and richer features are needed to confirm that. So for future work, doing over 1,000 episodes as we did, doing better opponent modeling and more expressive state representations will help and sharpen our differences and improve our performance across all three models. So thank you very much. And just for a quick demonstration, I will pull up here our code. And so here's the different program sections that I went over in my talk, and we actually have like a UI similar to the Tic-Tac modeling that we did. And so I will just run that real quickly. And this one is using, as we look here, 1,000 episodes. So we will run that. And again, 1,000 episodes, of course, does take a little bit longer, but you can see that we get our model out, and then we can see our results from a simulation. So thank you very much.